Okay, we'll get started. So today it's a demonstration. We're basically going to go through 30 tips and tricks that I have. Some of these you may already know. I am hoping that of the 30, you will get at least 10 or 20 maybe that you're going to use or will be new to you. A few of the other ones, like I said, this is sort of tailored towards sort of newer users. So like some of the tips and that you'll probably know and have been using them for years, but yeah, I'm sure everyone will get something out of it. Please use the chat if you've got any questions. As we go, please just put stuff into the chat and I'll review that as we go and at the end, and we will have a bit of a 5-minute sort of Q&A at the end. We should get in and out of here within the hour. 30 tips and tricks, probably about a minute each. Some of them might take a little bit longer than that to show, but we'll see how we go. Yep. So a little bit about our company. So we're a company which fosters innovation and we deliver both software and hardware solutions, consulting, training, development, and managed services. We do have industry experienced staff. So we do like to pride ourselves that we've got people who have been out there on the tools like myself, from the AEC fields, infrastructure and manufacturing sectors. A little bit about Bluebeam. So we know that this is the digital way of working now. So there's no more paper markups. So everyone really wants to get on the digital bandwagon and start to really use that one source of truth and to mark up, collaborate, and get those things done with using Bluebeam. Bluebeam was founded in 2002. It probably has well over 2 million users now around the globe. This slide's probably getting a little bit old, and it is like the tool of choice in the contracting and building construction industry. A little bit about myself. I'm a certified Bluebeam trainer, certified Revit trainer and professional. Do a lot of presentations in the industry. I was presenting at XCon, etc. I do have a structural engineering associate diploma. I've been in the industry for over 25 years, ever since I did my apprenticeship. Worked at a lot of tier 1, mid-tier and smaller consultancies, doing everything from small portal frames and residential up until sort of large sort of 50-story commercial towers and the like. I have been using Bluebeam for about 8 years now, Revit, etc. I am on LinkedIn if you do want to have a look at my profile, and there's my email, so feel free to email me as well. I have worked at Arup, Worley, Parsons, Northrop, SMEC, and numerous other consultancies. The user interface, I'm not going to go into that too much at all today. We're really just going into tips and tricks rather than the how to use Bluebeam. And the power of the PDF, so it really contains all that metadata, hyperlinks, bookmarks, file attachments, etc. And it's built specifically for the construction and engineering industries. And now we'll get into it. So I do have a whole list of these 30 tips and tricks that I'm going to go through. I will review this again at the end. So we do have a whole bunch of 30 here, which I'll just sort of put up quickly on the screen. So we've got a whole bunch of tips and tricks there that we will go through. And I'm going to now start up my Bluebeam and go through those tips and tricks. Yes, so I've got Bluebeam open here. I've actually got a couple of files already opened, ready to go. One of the first things I just want to go through, and like I said, this is really going back to first principles and how to do stuff. So one of the mantras that you should have and should always know with Bluebeam is, if in doubt, right click it out. 90% of the tools that you can do on a markup are contained under the right click. So you can add to tool chest, set it as your default, obviously access the properties, even align it with other items, flip it, etc. Add it to different layers, change that display order, even add your hyperlinks, edit the action of these items. So this is all contained under your right click. So it's really the one to go to, almost as that first point of editing. Find tools and commands. So again, like these are a lot of these tips and tricks, they are based on Review 20. Some of these features only came out in 20. So if you are using like 19 or 18, some of these features won't be available. So just be aware of that. One of the new ones that came out in Review 20 is this Find Tools and Commands. So this is a very useful, a lot of other software sort of have this. So you can start to even type in like align, and you'll see how those align tools come up. Anything you want to do, like if you want to edit PDF content, etc. So edit, and it all comes up there through the Find Tools and Commands. So it's quite a good way to be able to access quickly instead of having to look through your toolbars and then look through menus, etc. If you know the commands there, feel free to go to your help and find tools and commands. We also have split view and sync. So I'm just going to shut these ones down that I've got here. I'll make sure I save them. And I will save that one, and I'll save this one as well. So I'm just going to open up a couple of folders or a couple of files here. So I do have, let me just open them up and I'll open them from my computer. So I've got two files here, which are very much the same thing. One's revision 1 and one's the plan. So as we know, we can split the window. So we can split the window vertical here, and that will basically give us a separate window. So I do have revision 1 here and also the plan there. I do see someone just put a message in the chat that they can't find it. I did come out in Review 20. So if you do want to check what revision of Bluebeam you currently have or what version, you can click under Review here and you can go to About, and this will tell you what version you have. So I have the latest, which is 20.2.60. If you do have 18 or 19, I think that may have even come out in 20.1, that Find Tools and Commands. So it's probably you don't have that latest version, so you can check it there. If you are on maintenance, you can always update as well by going through help and going to check for updates. And if you are eligible for an update, you can just download it through there. So one of the tricks to do this is I've now got one each on each window. You can see how I can zoom into each one separately. But the main tip and trick is to use this sync button here. Now, if you don't have this toolbar up, these are available as well under the View tab. So we have here where we can split vertical. And we also have the sync button, which is synchronize document here. So once I synchronize these documents, you'll see that that will become available, and it will take me to exactly the same spot on each one. So I can come here and I can see that in revision 1, the facade's been added, where in the original drawing, it hasn't been added. And I can go and basically just review the differences between the drawings. Now, obviously you can use compare documents and overlay documents as well, but this is a real just quick way to be able to synchronize those views. I can shut this down. So I'm just going to shut it down quickly. So another tip and trick here is just our reopen files from last session. So again, I'll just type in review in my search bar and open it back up. And we always get this, you know, when Windows needs to restart or you need to do something and you go, well, I want to go, I don't just want to, I want to go exactly back to what I was doing. So what we can do is under the file command, so I'm using the file access here in the panel access. So if you go under file access, you'll see under file access here, you can actually straight away reopen the files from the last session. So if I click that one there, that will actually take me to exactly where I was on that drawing. So that's where I was zoomed in. Obviously it hasn't split the windows, but if I do split those windows, it'll take me back exactly to where I was. So it's quite a good little trick. One of the other ones as well is our previous view. So you can be basically zoomed in on this toilet area. I could go back to my thumbnails and then just double click that to go back to the full page. And down the bottom, I do have where it's got the list here. I'll just close that panel just so we can see it a bit clearer. You have this button here, which will basically take you back to the previous view. So if I do click that, rather than just going to a different page, it is only a one-page document, but I can go straight back to my previous view, which will take me straight back to that. And I can access, like, I can go back almost through the different views or go forward through those views. So it's just a good little one to, instead of like having to zoom in and out and back to a different area, you can actually just use this previous view, which will take you back sort of to where you were. So you can use that to jump around between those different views, which is a good little trick as well. We can now add leaders quite easily. So I'll just open up another document I had, just open one of my recent ones and go to, probably can't find it now. So I'll just open up and go back to my folder. I do have this link to a SharePoint as well, so I can open from SharePoint. I'll just open my flooring takeoff here. So I've just got a couple of markups on here, and I can easily just add a leader now. So when I select it, right click and we have add leader, and I can add a leader easily. That'll take it around to where I want to. So I can make sure I add a leader here. I can add another leader, and it will take it to sort of from the nearest point. So I can sort of point that up to there as well. Always a good tip, never cross your leaders, as they say in Ghostbusters, but yeah. You can also delete those leaders. So if you, it will delete them where you do pick. So if I delete that leader, it'll delete that one. And if I sort of hover here and again, delete leader, I can add or delete leaders. You can add leaders directly to callouts or even just text boxes. So if I do open up the properties here, you'll see at the moment that that is a callout. And if I do delete the leaders, obviously I'll go back to no leaders, which will change that simply to a text box. So even if I do a text box, I can easily select it and then add that leader, which will turn that back to a callout. So I can do that. We also have Format Painter. So again, a lot of these little tips and tricks that some of you may be aware of that we don't use. So this cloud here, I've got like that is a change that needs to be made. And this is a change that's for discussion, but obviously it is a change that does now need to be made. So I can simply use Format Painter. Again, that's accessible through right click, or you can use Edit, and Format Painter is here as well. So I can select the one I want, right click, Format Paint, and then simply use the paintbrush to select the other markup, which will make it exactly the same as that one. Another couple of simple ones. So to do a line or even with an area or anything, always make sure you hold Shift. So if I come in here and I want to do an area around this box, if I do pick the line, you can see that it's going off at the angle. As soon as I hold Shift, that'll straighten that up and I'll get that exactly straight line. So I can get those straight lines quite easily. I can do that with anything. So even if I just use a normal line, I can select any point. It is snapping to the content. And if I hold Shift, I'll get that straight line. It does go in the 45-degree angles as well. So I can easily make sure I've got that at the exact angle and continue it. Rotating markups as well. So there's a few just little these tips and tricks here. So if I wanted to, for instance, I'll just make another markup. So I'll just use my tool set here. I'll make that, I usually don't have that wide out. So I'll just make a comment. So I'll make a comment for that area. Just say paint green. Now, not that you would really generally want to rotate these markups, but if you do want to rotate it, you'll see when you select it, there's the blue grip at the top. So if you hover on that, and if you go around, you can see that it will go around in basically those 1 degree or the 15-degree increments. So it's going 0, 15, 30, 45, 60, etc. So it is snapping in those 15-degree increments. The smaller I zoom in, the smaller the text gets, but you can sort of see that it is snapping to those like 15-degree increments. If I hold Shift, I can rotate it more precisely and get it to exactly those 1 degree rotations. So if I rotate that around, that's rotating exactly in that 1 degrees. I can also rotate it more precisely if I choose to. So you can do this for areas and that as well. If you're using them for a boundary, like for residential purposes or whatever, you can access the properties. And right down in the bottom of the properties here, you will have that rotation. So you can actually see it's not exactly 360 because I've rotated it off, but here I can set it and have that at exactly sort of 25.2 degrees. And that'll put that in once I hit enter. And it'll put it in at exactly that degree. So that's where you can get very precise, which is great to use for boundary areas, residential stuff, or if you're doing boundaries, it's great to use that. We can also rotate the sheets themselves. So occasionally, I'll just open up another combined document here. So I've already got a combined document. So the best way to do this is always through your thumbnails whenever you're doing like page sort of stuff. So I might have this one, I'll just sort of break it first of all. So you can see at the moment, obviously that page, they don't suit. So the shortcut key is Control-Shift+. You can see that that's rotating it purely on the sheet. So it's not actually changing the page itself, but I can just rotate that around by Control-Shift- to go anti-clockwise, or Control-Shift+ to change it clockwise. I can also rotate that view through here under View and Rotate View. I can rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise. If I did need to rotate the page in the set, I can right click in here and you can rotate pages. Again, through here, you can choose if you want to rotate all of them, rotate just a specific page, even rotate the even pages. And then I could rotate that clockwise and go okay, which I'd rotate those two even pages clockwise. Obviously, I don't want to do that, which I could just undo, but we'll rotate those again. I can select the pages as well. So it's currently selecting page 2, but I'll just rotate those even pages again and rotate them this way, this time clockwise, which will bring them back to the right rotation. So that was the first sort of 10 tips. Now we're going on to the other ones. So just a selection here. So I will open up where I had those markups before. So just a couple of basic sort of selection tips through here. So it is, if you hold Shift down, you will select, you can select multiple. So I can select one, hold Shift again, which sort of adds or minuses that from that selection. You can see, and this is important to note as well, you'll see that the first one I picked had the yellow grips, where the other one has the green. This is because if I align anything, the one with the yellow grips will be dictating where the green one goes. So if I did want to change that, I can hold Control and that will change these to the yellow grips. So whichever one I sort of pick, and I'd almost like to think of it, whichever one you pick with Control is controlling the other one. I will show you how we can align that in a second. The other one is Reuse Markup Tools. So there's a button down here. It's Reuse Markup Tools. So what will happen, I'll just go to my tool set here. And if I do just, let's select just a text, just a markup here. So if I do add that on, change section marks. Now I don't have it on at the moment. So you'll see once I place one on and type in my text and then finish out, I'm really back to what I want, back to everything again. So I need to go back and reselect it. If you're going to add a heap of these on, you would want to have Reuse Markup Tools, which will allow you then, and you don't even need to finish the text each time. I can literally grab that one, add that mark on, put where I want the leader to go, and then almost straight away move on to the next one and sort of add a leader here and done, and add a leader here and done. I can do that with the text as well as I go. So I can add that, put in my text, hit escape, and then that finishes it. So that's where it's a good way to use that Reuse Markup Tools to redo that. Another thing that, so I'm not going to go into layers at all today, but just one sort of tip here as well. Occasionally you'll get a very busy drawing and you just want to sort of cut back to what the base drawing was. So remember that you can always hide your markups. So under the markups list down the bottom here, you can just select the I here and that will hide all your markups. You can see the markup list actually goes empty and I can go back and I've just got the raw drawing in again. Can be quite handy to use too if you're flattening markups, etc. So you can see what's been flattened to the sheet and what hasn't. And just select that through there to hide those markups. Again, remember you're just going back to that selection as well. So there are, it's V is the hotkey for selection. Remember that you do have the crossing and the solid windows as well. So if I do select a box from there, anything that I pick from the left to the right needs to be fully inside those boxes. So if I do that, you'll see that it will actually pick the green and the red one, but it won't pick the bottom green one. Because they need to be fully contained in that rectangle. So anything that's fully contained, it'll pick up. If I do it from the right to the left, it's a crossing window, and that's anything it touches. So you can see there I only have to touch those green ones and it will select them. So just depending if you go from the left, which is an open window, and a crossing window is from the right to the left. You can also select items directly from your markups list as well. So if you do hold control, you can pick up the items from here, or even hold shift, or even just select all those markups. So I can select all of them through there. We can apply markups to different pages as well. So if I do, this is a good one to use. Now there are stamps, obviously you can put stamps on each drawing, but if you do have a markup that you sort of want to go on each drawing, so I might just want to put a text box on, and I'm just going to sort of do this almost as a basic stamp. Like obviously I would prefer to use stamps, but I can put a text box on and put here sort of as built. Obviously let's change that font as well. So let's make it auto sized, and let's just make it a little bit bigger. So I've got that in as a bit of a pseudo stamp. You can see if I go to my thumbnails, it's only on the one drawing. Any markup I do, I can select and I can right click and I can apply to pages. And this is a good way to almost do that sort of pseudo stamp. Apply to pages, and I could choose again, even the even pages, odd pages, landscape, etc. if I had sort of text formats in there, or just add it to all pages. And that will put it on all pages. And you can see now that obviously I would prefer to use a stamp. So you do have your stamps in here. But just if you did want to, even if you had like just a standard sort of markup, if you wanted to put it on, any sort of markup you can do with that and apply it to all pages. You can also paste in place as well. So that's a real good tool to use if you do want to do something on the same one. So I can sort of, I've got like the revision one here and this reference plan. So if I sort of did a bit of a markup on this, so I'll just put a cloud plus around that area. Does this need to be circular? Probably not. Architect says yes, structural guy says no. If I can spell English, does this need to be? And I can basically add that directly onto the next sheet by just using a simple copy. I'm just using Control-C to copy, Control-C. You do have that here under the edit as well, so just copy. And then I can go back to this next one and I can simply go edit and then paste in place, which will put it exactly in that same spot. So you can see that that's put it exactly on the same spot on the next drawing. It's a good tool to use if you do have like a lot of, you know, the different floors. So if you've got sort of 5 floors and they're all basically the same layout and you want to copy a new bathroom layout to each of those, you can basically cut it and paste it in place to each one, as well as even using that apply to pages and apply it to like the floors that it's on. I do have a bit of a markup here. So I'll just delete this out of the way. So I'm just going to use how to control, shift and drag as well. So just say, for instance, I've got a couple of these awnings here. So I can easily just copy these beams across by just holding Control and Shift and simply dragging them across. Now, if I do hold Control, it will copy it. But if I do hold Control and Shift, it will copy that and have it straight. So I can basically grab that across, hold Control and Shift and get those directly across through there. So it's a good way if you are doing like a structural plan on top of like the architectural to copy those beams across. I do have some ones here that I've sort of just done one and then copied it across. You know, the architect's saying they might want one beam at each location. Me as the structural guy, I'm going, well, we only need 4. I've used Control-Shift to drag them across. And I can now use align and distribute. So I'll just, I'll do this again. So I've just used Control and Shift to basically just drag them across. So I'm just going to drag another 3 across. As you can see, I'm not really worried about that spacing at all. I can even move one sort of down a bit if I was a bit sloppy, for instance. And again, I can use that align. So I can select all of them with my selection box. I did miss these, add these in by just holding Shift. And you can see the yellow one with the grips. Remember, it's the one it's going to align it with. So again, remember Control to control it. So I'm just going to control that first one. Now I can use the align to the help. I do use align with the toolbar here. I find it's a very handy one to have up, the align toolbar. I'm not really going to go into toolbars, but if you did go into tools and toolbars and bring on that alignment one, which is this one here. And then I can align all these to the top, which will put them all at that exact line. So you can see how they're all matching in perfectly. I can then use this button here to distribute them horizontally. And that will distribute them horizontally between, which has given the 4 with that exact spacing. So you can see how those 4 have that exact spacing. We do have disable line weights as well. So if I go to like the detail here, if I go in, I can see that it's sort of getting a bit heavy and I'm going, well, is this beam actually meant to be sort of nudging into the rafter here, or is it like a clean finish? So this is where you can use disable line weights. And if you go under view, down the bottom, you'll see disable line weights. And what that will do is it will really just break it down into those lines. So I can then see very accurately that, well, yes, it's either like a drafting error or something, but they do have it penetrating into that rafter. So you can really get that fine level of detail by disabling the line weights, and that'll affect it through there. It is only a view thing. It won't print. It'll still print as it should. Well, if you are like, we're not printing anything out, let's keep it digital. But it is just disabling those line weights for the view. It isn't actually affecting the sort of underlying PDF. Another good one, especially if you're using scanned documents a lot, there is a deskew. So I've got a document in here. If I open it up, one that I intentionally did skew. So you can see here, it's a bit of a membership form. So we've sort of got a form here and you can see that it's been scanned in. So everything's sort of slightly out of alignment. So the simple way to fix that is thumbnails. Anything you want to do with the pages themselves, like come into the thumbnails. I can right click and I can go to my page setup. I can like select what sheet. It is only a 1-sheet PDF, so I'm just using that 1 sheet. I'm just now going to hit next, and you'll see that we've got get line here. So I can hit that get line and basically just snap to the end of this line here, and then snap to the other end. And that will now deskew, and I can go, okay, yes, I want to fix it. I can see that it's rotating it minus 1.1 degrees, and hit okay. And you'll see that that has straightened it up perfectly. So it's really something you want to do, particularly if you're scanning a lot of documents and you want them to look that professional way. There are, you can scale viewports, scale your tool sets. I'm not going to really go into, well, I will show you how to do it quickly, but you can see here I've got a heap of beams, UBs that I've put into my tool set. So I've got a 310, etc. I will go to this combined document just because I've got a couple of scales on the one drawing here. I probably haven't set them up. So just to quickly add those scales on, I can see that a scale is not currently set. So I can select this drawing, go to my measurements, and go to put in a preset scale of 1 to 100. And that has now applied that scale to this page. I can also add a viewport here. I've got this little eaves detail that's only at 1 to 20. So I can select a viewport and add a viewport. Select my region to define that viewport. So I'm just going to put that box over that view and change that to 1 to 20 and apply. I know I'm doing this all a little bit quickly. Like I said, I'm not really going into the fine tuning of it, just showing the tools themselves. Go to my tool set. I've got my universal beams here. I do have a scale already set so that they will go to scale. If you do have a normal sort of tool set, so this one, for instance, it doesn't have a scale at the top, I can set a scale as well by going through the properties of that tool set and then setting that scale and setting that scale of what I want it to be. And that will set that scale. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use these ones that already have that scale set. I can turn this off temporarily. I'll first just place it. So let's just grab a 310, for instance. And if I put a 310 in my 1 to 20 detail, you will see it comes in at the correct size. And as soon as I leave that viewport, it's changing it to the lower size, which is the correct size, but you can see how it's changing it up or down accordingly. So depending on what view it is to scale, and it will go in exactly. I can turn that off temporarily as well. So I can turn that off. And obviously if I put it there and in here, it's going to be exactly that same size. But as soon as I turn that on, when it will go blue, it's going to place that at the size that it is. So it's just a real good tip and tricks, especially if you're trying to do like those structural plans or even architect, like if you're trying to do something accurately, add them into the tool set. You can get an exact 200 UB and put them in, and they are exactly the size. So it really helps with that. That was the next 10. So 10 to go. Please let me know. Please email me or put into the chat which one is your favorite tip or trick of the day. I would love to know. This, I think, may be a good one for people to use. This is one that I particularly love, exporting a table directly to Excel. So I'm going to go to our first page on this sheet. Again, I can even use this and put in 1 and jump straight to page 1. And I'm just going to take out this door schedule and put that straight into Excel. So I can go to File and Export to Excel Workbook. I don't want to take the entire document across. I just want to take a page region. So I'll select this page region. You can see how it's sort of not really in a great Excel format at the moment. I've got things that aren't in boxes, things that are. I'm just going to do that box around that door schedule. Because of that, it does take a little bit more tidying up. If it was a straight normal schedule, I'd get a better result sort of quickly. So I'm just going to put that in there as combined Excel and save. It'll open it up automatically. Like I said, because it's sort of not the right format, it does need a little bit of cleanup. I need to delete like that box there, and I probably need to delete this row. And you can see I've got a pretty good Excel table that's come directly from that PDF. So this can be a great way to actually just bring tables straight across from PDF. Definitely one of my favorite tips. I can grab that schedule and I can simply control copy, and I could even paste that table back in. Obviously it's a little bit pointless because I've already got the door schedule, but I could just paste that back into here and have that on this drawing, and then use my grips to change the size of it. And I've brought that schedule directly back in from Excel. It's not live. It's not going to update or anything. But you can bring tables in directly from Excel. Keyboard shortcuts. Now, keyboard shortcuts, it really makes you more efficient in anything you do. There are a heap under the help. You can actually go straight to the keyboard shortcuts guide, which opens up and gives you a lot of basically those inbuilt keyboard shortcuts. You also get a lot of those little, just those tips and tricks that are sort of great to remember. So just how you can, like what buttons to do and how to click and drag and stuff. I know a lot of people take this for granted a bit, But even just some of those simple things like the rotating markups tip, etc., and even moving some captions, etc., and drawing straight lines. So just a few little tips in that keyboard shortcuts guide. To change your keyboard shortcuts, if you go under Review, there is a keyboard shortcuts button. Select that, and then you do have all like the inbuilt ones, but you can also select a new one and then add in some new keys. You can also restore defaults. Always a good idea if you are doing this, do export them. You can always use restore defaults, but I do export these as like the base ones and just save them in a location where you can straight away go back to what they were, or you can import them if someone else has one, etc. We do also have our convert to arc. So as we know, like Bluebeam, it can do circles and things okay. Like I did do this one with a automatic fill, like with the dynamic fill. I'm not going to go into that today. But just imagine if we had a bit of a circular cutout here. So on any line or anything, you can simply select where you want it to be. And you can right click and convert to arc. I'm just going to do it on this bottom one here, select it, right click and convert that to an arc. Funnily enough, there we go, convert to arc. And it'll give me a grip point in the middle, and then I can basically bring that grip point out and it will give me that arc. And you can see how it does affect the timber size as well. So it does stay dynamic and you can convert any line to an arc. They do work. It doesn't really give you the grips on the circle. You can, but you can use this to sort of define that sort of tangent point, and you'll get the circle come out accordingly. Remember that you can always add control points, etc. If I did need to add a bit of a section in here, remember that I can just right click where I want the point to be, add that control point, and then I can sort of stretch this around how I want it to be, add another one in here. And you can see how I can sort of square that corner off. And again, you can hold shift to get those straight lines. Adjusting colors of markup. So this is great if you're sort of taking a bathroom or something like that. I'm not going to do it on this one. I will just basically take this detail over here. Just let me just go to and pick a bathroom, for instance, this one here, and I might want to place a new bathroom somewhere else. So I can take a snapshot of that bathroom. I can paste that back in by just Control V. Not that I really recommend putting a bathroom in your kitchen. We could always do that if we wanted to, I suppose, in the living room. And I might want to make this look like so it's an actual markup, not so just I've copied it and tampered with that original PDF. So I can select this and I can go to that color processing, again available under right click as well. And I can select the color processing and I can change everything that was black. I can change from that source color of black and make all that red. And you'll see how it's changed all that to red. I can also do a whole bunch of things that's modifying the colors. I can change it to grayscale, mask images, etc. There are some other options through here. You can do that with the PDFs as a whole as well. So you can go to document and color processing and change that on a whole document as well. There is a web browser built into Bluebeam. If you do go under Window, you will see that there is a web tab and you can open that and you can use this directly as a browser. So I can go to my Cloud A2K or my Bluebeam site and I'm in a web browser. So it's quite handy. I know that everyone's always got web browsers on their machines or whatever, but if you do just quickly want to jump in and stay in sort of Bluebeam, you can use the web browser that's under Window and Web tab. Tip number 27. So I do have a document here. I'm just going to open it. I do have a document where I've got, I'm just going to show you how to create those bookmarks quite quickly. So I've just got a bit of a referee document here. I do refereeing, who would have thought? So I've got a page here at the moment. If I go to the bookmarks, you'll see that there are no current bookmarks for this area. I just want to come down to a page that's got like a good title on it. So I can see here, section 1. So I can zoom in. I can create bookmarks and use that page region to basically set up these chapters. So I can select page region, select that, select the box that's going to be big enough to pick up both sort of the title or the sort of the section bit and the title, making sure that if I've sort of gone big enough, if it goes to 2 or 3 lines, I'm going to pick it up, and make sure I go wide enough to pick it up, but not so big that I'm going to pick up stuff around it. So you sort of got to play with that size a bit. Obviously, you do get a preview of what it's going to pick up. And I'll just go okay. I could add an additional region as well. So if it did have like the title here and maybe, or the section there or the chapter, and I wanted to get the title from the bottom, I could add another region, but I'm just going to use that one there and just hit okay. Apply that to all pages. Make sure that it fits the page. So this page scale, it's going to, as it searches each page, it's going to change that power scale to the page scale to fit. Create those bookmarks. Watch kettle, something never boils. We'll do it pretty quickly. And you can see now that it has created those page titles for each one. So I can jump to each section and jump straight to those bookmarks. So it's really created those bookmarks. You can see that they aren't on each page, but I can jump straight to these different areas. You can see that it has grabbed like this last one here, where it's sort of got the title of the document, etc. So I could just delete that one because I don't need that, but I've got all the other sections that I can jump straight to. So quite a good little feature, really, you know, makes your packages a lot more professional if these bookmarks are there, and a lot more easy to navigate. Photos. We've only got 3 more tips to go. So I'm just going to show you how to quickly add on some photos. I'll just go here. So if I go to image, so they are a markup. So if I go under tools, markup, and down the bottom, you'll see image, and I just want to get them from a file. So image from file, open from disk, and I've got some images here. I'm just going to grab the 5 of them, just those 5 there, and it will place them in the order I want them to go in. So I can place one here in this corner, place another one here, and have 3, 4, and 5. Obviously prefer to place this one into the middle a bit. The best thing about this is it does embed them into that PDF. So if you do have site photos, want to take them to a point, you can do hyperlinks and all that. I can even do a simple line and sort of do a line from there to there, or an arrow or something, and where that defect was. But it embeds those images into the PDF, so it makes it truly portable. If I send this email, everyone will get that. If I only have a link to the image there, I do need to sort of bind that image in. So that works as well. Our last 2 tips are to do with Studio. So I'm just going to open up Studio here. If you haven't used Studio, it's great for collaborating, etc. So I've got a session in here, a demo architecture one, for instance. Again, I'm not going right into Studio. I've got a fair few people that are online here. I have Jade. So I've basically restricted attendees by invite. So I can come in, and whoever I invite will get access to it, and I can invite people or whatever. But just say, for instance, if Jade has left the company, and even if she's made a heap of markups or whatever, and I now need to really assign those markups to someone else. Jade left last week or whatever, and she's not going to be coming back on her markups. She's got markups in here that she's done. If I go to by author, I'll probably, funnily enough, it looks like I've done most of the markups again. I don't have the document open. Let me open it first of all. You can see here the architectural set. So I can see that Jade's made a couple of markups here, and because she's left, and as you know, in Studio, only the people, you can only control your own markups. So it's a great way to have that ability to, you can't tamper with other people's markups, but in that, if she's left, I can't change her markups. So I can actually come to her in the offline area here and select her, and I can right click and deny her now access to this studio session. And I will get an option here that, again, to not let anyone else edit their markups. Maybe we do want to keep those proper. Or I can reassign someone else to edit their markups. So the new editor will be notified by email. And in the record tab, once assigned, the deny user will not be allowed back into the session. And the new editor must be on 2016 and above. So I can pick who I want the new person to be. We'll just pick myself and deny that one user, and all those markups will now become my markups. So a good way to be able to basically deal with if people have left companies, etc. That's it. That's our 30 tips and tricks. Hopefully you all got some out of it. I'm sure hopefully some were new to you, and maybe hopefully all 30. Please let me know if you've found a favorite or anything. Any questions, we will open up the floor now for any questions. If you do have, just put them in the chat. Please let me know. I'll just go through these while anyone is putting any questions in or any comments. We are the platinum reseller, the only platinum reseller in Australia. We can do discovery sessions, figure out how your staff is using Bluebeam and really engage with the staff better and make that they're going to use it more. We can do rapid start. If your company is not currently using Bluebeam, we can come in and really implement that Bluebeam and start really to integrate with Office standardization and tool sets, which we can create for your companies. We do Blue Burst, which are little sessions like this that I can do for your company and come in and do a half-hour session, do it remotely or come in and sort of concentrate on maybe a particular tool or two rather than 30 in a flash. I could always do the 30 again and just really engage your staff into how to use it. And we do also create manuals. Any questions? Looks like nothing's come through, whether I did a great job or a bad job. We really covered it. So I've done 30 tips and tricks there in about 40 minutes. So yeah, so someone's just put a comment in there. So are all these features available in standard? I do believe that 90%, I don't think I touched on anything. I did try to avoid the extreme stuff. The difference in extreme is that it really has a lot of the additional features. So if I do go back, so in extreme, you get a lot of the batch tools. So you can do batch slip sheet, OCR as well. So you can do OCR, which is the character recognition. Obviously I won't get on that, but if I went in here, you would find OCR is only an extreme feature. So that's where you can get that OCR. There are the 3 versions of Bluebeam. There is standard, which is the standard one. CAD has a lot of the CAD tie-ins, so you can print directly, create 3D PDFs, etc., directly from Revit and AutoCAD. OCR, etc., and a lot of the batch tools as well. So even like batch stamping and stuff like that, and batch linking, you can do batch links through the extreme where you can't do that in the other versions. Generally, you can even sort of play around with your licenses a bit. Some big, larger companies, they will have generally maybe like 100 standard seats, and they might have like 5 extreme licenses that people can jump in if they do need to use the extreme feature. It's a good way where you can, particularly with open licenses, do that. Are there standards still available for download? No, there's not. If you did reach out to me, if you did give me an email or just hit in something into Cloud A2K, I can probably make sure we can get that out for you. I could probably send it through. I don't know, work would probably want to charge for it. We can, yeah, it's only a pretty simple one. I'm quite happy probably to share that one out. Please reach out if you have any questions or comments. Thanks everyone for attending. Hope everyone enjoyed the session. I'll give you 10 minutes of your lunch back, or early lunch or late lunch, and hopefully I'll see you all in the future.